If you want to finally see that scale move, stop eating clean. Now, I know that goes against everything you've been told because they want us eating heart healthy grains, low fat yogurt, and those expensive keto friendly snacks. But those diet foods haven't worked. You're tired, bloated, and still overweight. So I want you to understand that you're not the problem. The definition of clean is the problem. Today we're going to fix that definition. Low, low fat products they're just sugary delivery systems. And those keto labels that we see on products are distractions. But there's one thing that you can actually do that's going to change things for yourself. It's a rule that breaks the cycle. And I want to talk about that today. You don't have time to read labels because you're busy. Like we all work all day. And we then most of us have kids to care for. If you don't have kids to care for, you have pets to care for. We have so many things that we try to accomplish in a day. And that's why we make this critical mistake. We trust the front of the box, right? You don't have time to read the back, or at least we think we don't have time to read the back. And so we look at the front and they give all these claims of what this healthy food is going to do. We see keto, low carb, heart healthy, and we throw it in our cart. But that food that the food industry wants us to eat, they know that we're so busy, we are not turning it over. We're not reading the labels. We're not verifying what's in this stuff. And because we're not verifying what's in this stuff, there's like sometimes 50 plus ingredients on a very simple product that if we made that thing at home, it would not have taken 50 ingredients. And as a matter of fact, they're so confident that we are not going to read the back of the packaging. They write things on there very blatantly, right? The fillers and the chemicals, and they are able to be compliant with all the legal rules of what they have to tell us is in there. Every chemical is listed. Now, granted, they will list the chemicals in a way that, the average person can't really tell what it is, but the sugar count is there. So despite the front of the packaging saying heart healthy, saying healthy for us and our families to eat, that sugar count that is extremely high, those chemicals that need not be in there, red dye number 5, and all the stupidity is on the packaging because they can put it there because they know we're not reading it. And the result is that convenient food ends up spiking our insulin and causes us to crash around 2, 3 p.m. You know that crash that you have? It keeps you tired and your brain is fogged and you just can't get anything done. I don't know, has that ever happened to you? Because I know it used to happen to me all the time. Napping in the middle of the afternoon if I didn't have something really exciting to work on. Real convenience is food that gives you actual energy, not food that takes it away. Like food that takes away your energy should make us angry because we eat food to have energy. Food that makes us sick should make us angry because we eat food to be healthy. So the claims on the front of the package should match what's in the package. The truth about this fast food that we eat is that it's not fast. The true fast food is a rotisserie chicken, right? That's fast food. A hard boiled egg, that's fast food. Even a can of tuna would be fast food. You don't need time to read the ingredients because the ingredients is the thing. If you can unwrap a protein bar, Wellness Warrior, you have time to peel an egg. And the difference is that the egg keeps you like with it, sharp, thinking well. It keeps your body functioning properly. That bar is going to keep you trapped. Now, there's another problem. There's reasons that we are trapped in this scenarios because of the money. We've actually been convinced that eating real meat and fish, like, salmon, and actually I prefer salmon. I haven't found another fish that I like as much as salmon. So, any of the meats and salmon, we have been told that it's too expensive. We can't afford to eat that way. So what do? We eat pasta with marinara sauce, or we eat, rice with like the smallest piece of meat, right? Because we're trying to be efficient in our spending. But I want you to look at what you actually are paying for when you buy these diet foods. You're paying for marketing slogans, fancy labels, pretty packaging, celebrity endorsements, and very, very convincing lies. All of that stuff makes these products really, really expensive. So we'll buy a package of like these kind of things, these bars, these keto bars, and we we look at that as us doing something healthy for ourselves. The amount of protein in this thing, 20 grams. But if we had bought that rotisserie chicken, which we would have been told is expensive, if we would have bought some steak, which we're told is expensive, would have had much more protein per serving if you eat the right size serving. Do we understand that we pay extra for keto labeled diet food stupidity, which is really just packaged junk food with keto labeling on it? I mean, the list of chemicals on this ingredient list, right? Polydextrose, which is a fiber, like glycerin, sodium's caseinate, lecithin. It's a bunch of junk food with a label on it that makes people that are keto feel safe to eat it. And you're paying for that. You're paying to stay hungry, wellness warrior, because those processed foods are full of carbs and fillers, and they get you to store fat, because that's what happens when you eat a bunch of carbs. You store fat and you end up hungry again. So I eat the expensive snack and end up hungry. And you're hungry like within 2 hours, right? And you're looking for what? Another snack, because it's not time for lunch yet, or not time for supper yet. And you're looking for another snack. That mid-afternoon crash that happens. You're constantly refueling. I put my hand up because that was me. How much money have you spent on keto replacement stupidities, right? Whether it's snacks like that, whether it's, I still have coconut flour and stevia in my pantry. What a waste of money. I bought those things thinking that I'm going to be able to make healthy versions of these junk foods that I used to eat. Wellness warrior, when you switch to real food, so that's meat, fish, poultry, and eggs, you're buying satiety. When you eat meat or eggs and you're full for hours, like when you're not thinking about food every 5 seconds and you can go 24 hours without even thinking about what you're going to make to eat, I want you to think about the money that you would actually save when, well, first of all, when you're not snacking. Let's just do that. That I'm not buying a bunch of snacks means money saved. But then when you actually follow your hunger, I'll talk about what happened to me. Breakfast fell away within 2 weeks of starting keto, right? I was instructed that you have to eat your 3 meals and eat to satiation and doing all the things. And within I would say 2.5 weeks ish, no longer hungry for breakfast. And then over the course of the next month and a half to 2 months, lunch fell away. And in a very short time frame, by for sure by the time I was 5 months in, I was eating one meal a day and shocked as hell. I don't think anybody could have been more shocked than me that I could go a full 24 hours easily, easily, not caring. Am I speeding up the time frame of that? Maybe it was after I was at goal weight that I started doing the 24 hours. I think it was after I was at goal weight. I don't want to give you a misunderstanding of what happened. I know breakfast fell away within the month. That was for sure. But I think I was actually at goal weight. I was at goal weight after 5 months, by the way, just to throw that out there. All the lies of the diet food. That doesn't work. But to be able to go 23-ish hours not caring about food, make a meal at around, 22 and a half hours and eat it by the 23rd and then, go about my bit. Oh my goodness. It's lovely. It is so lovely. So you save money. You save money when you're not buying garbage, first of all, because you can actually afford to buy the steaks. You can actually afford to buy salmon. You're not You're not stuck to eating canned fish because you can't afford the fresh stuff, which was a thought I used to have. Oh, fresh fish is so expensive. How do people afford that? You afford it because you're not buying all the junk. Now, this is going to bring us to another problem, right? And it's the hardest hurdle that most of us will ever need to get over because it's not about time, it's not about money, it's the fear of letting go of sweet taste, of fun taste, of excitement of food, right? We we just don't want to do it. We tell ourselves that I need my keto cookie, right? That's the thing that's the bridge between me and real sugar. And if I don't have that bridge to get me away from the real sugar and get me to this land of I eat healthy all the time, well, then I'm going to eat real sugar. And there's so much wrong with that. Because if I think that the only way for me to not eat real sugar is to have these stevias and these artificial sweeteners that we have learned in the past 2 years are actually possibly causing real health issue, like not just weight gain, it's real internal health damage. If I think that the only way that I can put down real sugar is by either these problem sweet replacements like the artificial sweeteners or stevia, which is a natural thing, but stevia, which I just learned the other day from Dr. Chafee, stevia has been used in many countries as a natural substance to help you to not get pregnant, like as a birth control method. So, how many people are using stevia to sweeten their coffee or their keto snacks and whatever, and then struggling to get pregnant, not realizing that they're ingesting this natural birth control, according to Dr. Chafee. Again, we just take companies' words for it that what this thing is going to do is what it's going to do, and there will never be a side effect ever. There's never any unwanted effects of this stuff. Not true. Okay, I'm going off topic. I'm sorry about that. I need to refocus myself. What you need to understand is what's happening biologically when we eat sugar. And oh, to go back to my point though, if I tell myself that the only way that I can avoid eating sugar is by eating these replacements, that actually means that the replacements can never leave my life. This is no longer a bridge to get me to healthy land, to get me to this place where these these things aren't kicking my butt anymore. These things aren't problems for me anymore. It's no longer a bridge to those things because in my mind I've convinced myself, but I need these sweet tastes so I don't go back to sugar. How will I walk forward to the world where there isn't any sweet taste? And now we're trapped. Biologically, we need to understand what happens when our mouth tastes sweet. because your mouth cannot differentiate between natural sweet and fake sweet, these artificial sweeteners. And another problem that we have is that our body, for some of these artificial sweeteners, so the sugar alcohols, as they love to call them, as soon as they enter our body just cleaves off the alcohol and now it's sugar again. So sometimes the artificial sweetener just turns back into sugar in the body, which I don't think that's what any of us were expecting to happen. But then you have these other things that they don't turn into anything. They're not useful to the body. They get sequestered by the liver. So we're making our liver work extra hard. Not great. And we're still tasting the sweetness. What happens when your mouth tastes sweet? Because your mouth, not knowing the difference between real sugar and artificial sweetener, means that your brain doesn't know the difference between real sugar and artificial sweetener, which means that all the safety precautions that your body would normally do will be deployed by your brain because, oh my goodness, sweet is coming in, right? Your tongue gets the signal, your brain gets the signal, your body releases insulin because that's what it's supposed to do when sweet is detected. They have us so convinced and focused on the fact that there's no calories in this stuff, which, by the way, can I just point out, your body never searches for calories. Your body isn't trying to detect how many calories is in the stuff you're eating because your body, as Dr. Fung taught us, does not have any receptors for calories. No way to measure calories. It measures sugar, protein, and fat. That's what it measures. It measures it through taste receptors. It measures it through the chemical processes that we do that break it down so that we can further, our body can further detect how much fat was in that, how much our body does not know how to check for calories. So the companies telling us that it's low in calorie is them telling us something that doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's like you buy a house and then they tell you that your house is very low in I don't know, cheese factory production equipment. Okay? Does that matter? Were you expecting your house to have cheese factory production equipment? Not likely. It doesn't make any sense. So what your body does is absolutely correct. It prepares for a load of sugar coming in that never comes in. And now we have a new problem, right? Because insulin was risen. It was risen a lot because your mouth is like, there's a lot of sugar coming. And fat burning shuts down. We don't need to make energy. We've got this influx of energy that shouldn't be coming in that we need to do something with. And so your body rises insulin to get that excessive amount of sugar out of your blood system, even though if it was a true artificial sweetener, no sugar came in. Now, if it was a sugar alcohol, yeah, it does have some work to do. And if it was real sugar, yeah, it does have some work to do. But what this means, no matter whether you had a nice piece of fruit as your snack, one of these things as your snack, or a completely pretend uh, artificial sweet something, like maybe you drank a diet soda, your body just threw a bunch of sugar, like actual real sugar. So there's no air quotes there. Sorry, there's no air quotes. Real sugar. Your body just took sugar out of your blood, real sugar, because it tasted sugar coming in. But what happens is that no sugar comes in. So your blood sugar is going to go down, fat storage, and then your body's going to say, oh, wait, we don't have enough sugar. Please go out and get me some food. Why? Because it's easier for sugar to come in than for it to pull fat, so energy out of fat storage. Once you put sugar in fat storage, do we see the confusion that we create for our body when we do this? This keeps us obsessing over the next snack that we're going to have. What are we having next? I'm hungry. I need to eat. What am I going to eat next? Wellness warrior, you aren't craving food. You are chasing that dopamine hit that happens in your head because, by the way, when you eat a lot of sugar, your brain gets triggered and it's being triggered. So that dopamine is happening because there is this biological thing that happens in a human that says that when you eat something sweet, it's safe. It's a it's a safe way to store energy for winter. Now we are currently going into winter, right? So yes, yeah, that's a thing. But do we need to be doing that 3 to 4 times a day? And typically in the history of us being us, we wouldn't have been doing that. And the problem is that none of us are eating that keto treat because we want to store sugar as fat. We're eating that keto treat because we think it's a bridge to this new world of eating better. But I need you to understand that it's actually an anchor. It's holding you hostage. It's you're hostage to your cravings because we are never allowing our mouth to retrain on the healthy food that the keto doctors, so Dr. Westman, Dr. Fung, Dr. Barry, Dr. Berg, Dr. Eckberg, these keto doctors have told us that we should be focused on. Dr. Eid, we're not focusing our attention on the right stuff. The only way that you can actually stop the cravings is to stop the sweet taste from ever coming in. You don't need a bridge from this stuff to this stuff. You don't need a bridge. That's not what you need. What you need is to stop letting the sweet taste of any of that stuff into your mouth. You need to starve that craving cycle, right? If you starve it from, it doesn't get those sugars anymore. Yeah, it's gonna change everything. So the rule that I want you to follow, I'm gonna actually give it to you as a challenge, Wellness Warrior. I look forward to you coming back to me in a month. And I want you to do this in my most recent video. So what's going to happen is a month from now, I want you to come to the most recent live stream and say, Violet, I took your challenge last month and these are the results. So here's how I want you to think about this. This is what I want you to do for the next month. When you look at food, I want you to only take foods that have no label. I want you to see what happens if you do that. No label on them. What does that mean? They are one ingredient foods. So remember that like fast food rotisserie chicken that we talked about? Actually, maybe that wouldn't even qualify because that probably has some other spices. But I think most rotisserie chickens are just chicken, salt, right? So I want you to be able to look at this thing and say, I'm cooking chicken and it's chicken. And then I'm putting what on it? Salt, and that's salt. And if you choose to put another spice, it's one spice. Everything that you use should be singular so that there's no extras in any of the stuff, right? There's no when you buy those combo stupid spices, often if you read the label, there's actually sugar in there. Other words for sugar, dextrose. Like they have other things. If it's a marinade, like these sauces, you'll have high fructose corn syrup in there. They have ways of adding extra sugar to stuff so that we don't even realize that we're putting sugar on our healthy foods. Now, of course, by doing one ingredient foods, this eliminates junk food altogether, right? There's no junk food that's going to be in your diet because one ingredient. But I also want you to tackle the insulin spikes. So, in order to do that, the one ingredient foods that I want you to choose are the ones that don't taste sweet. Now, yes, I know. This is one rule, right? It's one ingredient foods that are low in carbohydrate. That's the rule I want you to do. And as you're going through this month, Wellness Warrior, I want you to pay attention to how you feel. Because you're going to feel amazing eventually. At first, you're going to feel like cravings, and you're going to want the junk because we are obsessed with the stuff. We have compulsions to go get it. But once you get through like 2 to 3 weeks of this, by the time you're at your third week, how do you feel? Because you're likely going to feel so much more focused, so much calmer. It is going to be great. And you're going to see that you don't need diet products or a special diet plan, right? These fancy keto, replacements that we make, and all, we don't need those things. What we actually need is real food, right? Because real food is what helps my body to heal itself. If my body isn't able to heal itself, I stay stuck. If my body isn't able to build better functioning organs, I stay stuck. The ultimate goal here is to heal my body, wellness warrior, because a healthy body regulates its weight. So that's the goal for this month, this next month. Low glycemic, one ingredient foods. Use those things to make your meals. Realize that a boiled egg is fast food because you boiling it. You don't even have to watch the stove. Put 3 eggs in a pot, put it to boil, go get ready, right? Get back to the pot, take it out, put it in a Ziploc. When you get to work, you peel it. Like that. That's the fastest lunch you could ever make. And you don't even have to watch it. Put enough water in the pot so it can't boil out. You don't even have to watch it. We are making these things too difficult for ourselves when they can be so much simpler. So thank you very much for letting me know that I misspelled strategy on the thumbnail. I did make the correction. Thank you very much. Zombie Punked 4234. If you guys have questions, this is the time to throw your questions in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, throw me the questions in the comments because I will answer them. I want to make sure that you guys get the results that you're looking for. That's why I make these live streams. That's why I make my videos. So Lisa Lim says hello. So hello to you, Lisa. And yeah, Pat is thanking you too because we were able to fix it before the video went live. So you said love me some rotisserie chicken. You know what? I used to feel guilty when I would go to the grocery store and buy that rotisserie chicken because it used to make me feel like, I was being lazy. But when you consider that it's not deep fried, so we're not getting those those inappropriate seed oils that our body does not know what to do with. And it's rotisserie. Theoretically, it shouldn't have any extra oils on it. I never did verify though. I don't buy them anymore. Maybe that's something I should verify. But at the minimum, you're not deep frying them in that poor quality seed oil that every frying company, like sorry, every fast food company that fries thing is using right now. And it tastes good, right? And what I remember of it is that there weren't much spices on it. It was pretty much, from what I can remember, just salt, maybe a little bit of black pepper, but it wasn't like a very spiced up thing. Cheap to buy, or at least cheaper than fast food restaurant stuff, healthier to buy. But I used to feel guilty. I used to feel like, oh, I should go home and cook something, and would waste time that I could have been playing with my daughter, cooking rice and all the side dishes and whatever back when I was doing normal diet, wasting time when I could have bought that rotisserie chicken. She and I could have eaten that and had more time to play. So I do think that if you're trying to save on time, if you're a parent and trying to save on time, rather than buying a pizza, which is a bunch of carbohydrates, get the rotisserie chicken. You're going to be much happier. You're going to feel better, and it's better for you. It's a better option. And of course, verify the ingredients. Make sure that they're wherever you're buying it from, whatever grocery store is making it, because our grocery stores make them here in Canada. I'm assuming that we're talking about the same thing. Make sure that they're making it in a way that's healthy. So paying to stay hungry, interesting and so true. Yeah, thank you, Pat. Because that's exactly what we're doing. We are paying to stay hungry, and it's frustrating. Barb Justus. Thank you for just chiming in and saying exactly. I appreciate it. Um, let's see. Patrick says, "It's funny. I don't see all the chats. Anybody else having this problem? I see chats on Violet's feed, but not here in the chat section. So are we missing some chats? Let me just look at my let me just look at what I'm looking at. I feel like I'm seeing the chats. I only have what's in front of me, but I see two different sets of chats. I see chats from the live stream and I see chats from, but it's so I hope you're seeing what I'm seeing, but they are on the screen, guys. So hopefully that's good. And Barb is saying it's freedom. So if we don't have any questions today, which just I guess tells me that I presented this topic very well, then we'll close up in a minute. But I'm going to give you guys a chance in case anybody does have a question, because I know there's a little bit of delay in the stream. But I want to let you guys know that today, after the stream, we are no next week we have our meeting. If you want to become a channel member, sorry, not a channel member. Wow, see what happens when you try to talk about something off the cuff that you hadn't thought about thinking you're talking about. Oh, okay. Let me start over. If you want to join the community, next Monday we're having a meeting. We're gonna go through like in person each individual's issues, so I can help you work through like what might be some solutions for you to keep your mindset on track and eating healthy every single day. That's the thing that's gonna help you, because it's not just about specific foods. It's about understanding why we sometimes will go back to this stuff, right? These things that like these things used to get me. Last week our conversation was really interesting, and talking about um, we had a bit of a conversation about iodine and some of the tricky things about iodine. I've learned a lot about iodine from Dr. Hampton, and I'm revamping how I'm doing iodine and understanding how we need much more than we get in our diet, but it's not hard to get the amount that we need. Like it's super easy. And I was not aware how absolutely ridiculously easy it is to get the amount that we need. So I think I want to talk about that at some point in the video. But for today, just know that in our group meetings, we have interesting conversations that we can walk through all the details of all the things. And obviously, we don't have to worry about everyone in the conversation is there to help, is the point I'm making. Hi, Mike Jr. Nice to see you here. Thanks. I'm glad you're able to get a comment up. Now, the video that we are talking about today was last Thursday's video. It's linked in the description if you want to go back and watch it if you haven't had a chance yet. And I have a question that looks like, ma'am, how many times do you eat daily and at what time? Do you fast too? How many times weekly and how long for each? Ooh, very nice condensed question. I love it. So, this is Lofty Hill Crown. So, what I do today, and I've been doing this, I would say, for a good number of months now. Um, well, maybe I should go back. When I started keto, I did 3 meals a day. It quickly went down to two. And by the time I was at goal weight for a good period of time, it went down to 1 meal a day. And I did that. So if I talk about actual meals, like full on meal, I did that up until about 2 months ago. So that would mean that I did it for 7 ish years. Let's say 7 ish years. I ate 1 meal a day. And when I was doing 1 meal a day, there was a good period of time where every other weekend I would do 48-hour fasts. And twice a year, I would do like a week. Well, I've never made it a week, 5-ish day fast. Now, fast forward to today, I've added back lunch because I'm removing some of my coffees. My coffees were never like they were always fatty coffees. So I would say I started having fatty coffees from the jump. So I was adding either butter or ghee or coconut oil. I stopped adding coconut oil because I realized it was like making my skin not like my skin wasn't creating itself the way it should be. So I was having a lot of dry skin and whatever. When I removed the coconut oil from my diet, my skin started to basically be what it is today. It's perfectly fine. No more dry skin, no more rashes. All the rashes went away. So it's very rare that I would use any avocado oil. And that would be more likely if I was making some mayonnaise or something. But most of my meals don't require mayonnaise anymore. So I've stopped making that. Um, so today, I still have one real meal, so like a meat meal, but I do have a smaller lunch meal of bacon. Most of the time, it's just bacon. Um, Theoretically, if I felt like it, I would have sausage, but that's only happened maybe twice in 2 months. So I normally have some bacon at lunch and then some sausage. And the reason for this is because when I removed my second coffee, since I'm not having that 45 grams of fat in the middle of the afternoon, because I kept the morning coffee purposefully. I didn't want to create the situation where I'm waking up and having a coffee in the middle of the afternoon and then being a little buzzy and not being able to sleep. So I figured if I'm going to remove a coffee, I should move the one closer to bedtime. And so yeah. So that's what I do now. Oh, by the way, I transitioned. You asked me what I eat as well, right? I I transitioned from keto to, I would say, keto where I was having like a very low carb version of keto where I was having avocado 1 day a week and I was having a salad once every 2 weeks and I was having olives 1 day a week. So that would make 2.5 days per week that I was having vegetation. And all the other days I was having just meat for supper. So coffee, coffee, meat for supper. Or coffee, coffee, avocado and meat, coffee, coffee, olives and meat. And I did that for about a year and a half to 2 years. I'm not exactly sure how long. I wasn't really paying that much attention. I just like the ease of only having to cook meat at supper time. And then after my conversation with Dr. Chafee 2 years ago, I'm going to say it is about at this point, 2-ish years ago, maybe. Yeah, we must be going on to 2 years now. I really went no veg. So I dropped the avocado, I dropped the salads, and I dropped the olives. Haven't had any of those things in the last 2 years. And then, like I said, in the last few months, I've dropped that mid-afternoon coffee. I'm trying to get rid of the coffee now. That's the only other veg that's still in my diet. When I decided to drop the avocado and olives, I also dropped the spices because Dr. Chafee explained to me that spices are the most potent part of the plant, which means that it's actually the plant's defense mechanisms that we are putting on our food to entertain ourselves. And that just didn't make any sense to me, right? I don't entertain myself with junk, right? And especially with something that's trying to harm me, right? Like it made no sense what I was doing there. And I've lived that story already because nightshades, which is another spice family, so vegetable and spice family, I had to remove because paprika and red peppers, which are spices, are also nightshades. They were already harming my joints. Like that, I learned 7 years ago when I first started keto that nightshades and me didn't actually get along. Once I cleaned up the sugar, my body was able to show me that. So all that to say, wellness warrior, that it's not always obvious what you need to remove. And by slowly whittling things down, I was able to see the things that were having huge negative impacts on me. And then these other things that were not having a huge negative impact, but they were still having an impact. I don't know what the impact was. So let me be clear about that. It's not like I got a diagnosis that said, oh, you need to remove avocados. What I did is I had a conversation with Dr. Chafee, Dr. Eid, and Sally Norton. So Georgia Eid, Sally Norton. And the three of them and their interviews were really close together. If you go back and look at my channel, like they're boom, 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 they're really close together. Those three conversations helped me to understand that even if I don't know in this moment the damage being done to me by avocados, for example, or from olives, for example, it doesn't mean that the damage isn't happening. For example, Dr. Eid promote, um, sorry, Dr. Eid helped me to recognize that whenever you take, let's say, a medication, well, that medication has a hoped for impact on whatever you're taking it for. But then it's going to have a bunch of other impacts on your body because we don't have the ability to send something in and it targets just one thing. And so if we can't do that with this medication that we're constantly talking about, how the heck are we doing that with food? Like, why is it that I think that because I eat, let's say, go back to those red peppers, that because I'm eating red peppers because of whatever vitamins and minerals and blah, blah, blahs that are in it, that the solanine and the other toxins in that red pepper isn't going to impact me and cause me to have sore joints. And guess what? I wasn't able to guarantee that. And it was causing me to have sore joints. How do I know? Removing nightshade vegetables from my diet while I was still eating all the other vegetables stopped my joint pain. And as long as I made sure that there wasn't any paprika in my food or any red peppers or green peppers or all the peppers, any kind of pepper from that Solanae family, I stopped eating eggplant. Potatoes had already been removed from my diet. But all the things that are in that nightshade family is when I removed them and was really vigilant about it, right? My joint pain went away. And if I made a mistake, which could be like I made a mistake and I ate something that I didn't know was a nightshade, or I had something that was pre-made, maybe by a friend or by a restaurant, and it had paprika in it. Did I know? Yeah, I knew because I would feel my joints kind of like, no, they're hurting me. So I hope that that answers your question. I want you guys to be able to look at your diet and make good decisions. It's not about what I'm eating. So let me just point that out. I mean, I can sit here and tell you what I'm eating, but I I'm not sure if the video went up already or not. Maybe it didn't go up yet. And I have a video coming up soon about you eating what I eat and the dangers of that. Because can you imagine for a second, Wellness Warrior, if I would have eaten someone else's diet? So let's say that I know Dr. Westman has a food list. And if I would have taken that food list and said, these are the things I can eat, and I'm eating those things on that list, well, I don't know if red peppers and green peppers and all that stuff is on that list. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure potatoes aren't there, but eggplant might be there. If I was just following the food list without really paying attention to how my particular body was reacting, like I was just making sure whatever ingredients I put, I was making sure that I was always under 20, but not really paying attention to how, like, not making a distinction. I shouldn't say not paying attention, not making a distinction between the fact that this diet, no, that these foods on this food list are considered safe. Why? Like, why are these foods considered safe? And it was based on one criteria and one criteria only: carb count. These foods were not considered safe because the plant that created this fruit, or yeah, fruit, I think usually, or the plant that we're actually eating, if we're eating the actual plant, is not because it's toxin free. It's just less carb. And as I started to look at foods that way, my entire mind about what to eat changed. And I'm really encouraging you all to allow yourself to look at food this way. Like, again, come join the community. We can have these conversations. We can walk through what you're doing. But the truth of the matter, this is the answer. How does food impact you? How do you know which ones to choose? And then once you have chosen what you're going to do, like me, carnivore, I only eat meat, fish, poultry, eggs, salt. That is the extent of what I eat. And people are gonna be, oh, but Violet, aren't you bored eating that? Nope. Every meal is delicious. Yesterday, I had the best pork chops I've ever had. They were delicious. And I was saying, I remember Pat cooked them for me. And I was saying, I never cook in butter. I put butter in my coffee, but I never cook in just butter. And he convinced me, like, I'm going to start cooking some of my pork chops sometimes. I like cooking them in bacon fat, but I'm going to start cooking them in butter sometimes too. Just butter. It was the best tasting just butter. I feel like we are so I spice my stuff. I just realized that. I do spice my stuff with bacon, right? I like this taste of bacon cooked into other things. And now I'm going to be spicing my stuff with butter. Now, Dr. Chafee talks about butter, and he has cautioned against. Dr. Eat cautioned against butter too, right? That it does have the ability to be obesogenic, apparently, because, you know, milk is a product that is there to help a cow grow fast, just like our milk helps a child grow fast, right? And so again, I will play with all these ideas. I will pay attention to what I'm doing. But ultimately, the goal that I currently have is to help myself one step at a time. And that's what I'm asking you to do in this video, right? Take the next month, focus your attention, one ingredient foods that are low in sugar. Just do that for the month. How does it help you to reset if you need to reset? How does it help you to stay on track? That's what I need you to do, Wellness Warrior, to stay on track. So if this video is helpful, I'm happy because that's the reason that I do all of this. So I'm looking forward to talking to you guys again next week. I'm going to be in the in live stream again, and I'm new. New here and happy to be here. Oh, I'm so happy to have you, Pauline. I'm not sure how to say the that last part, and I don't want to say it wrong, but I'm so happy to have you here, Pauline. I'm glad that you found the live stream, and thank you, Pat, for putting up the link if you want to come join the community. We have fun over there. We have long conversations, and honestly, I have fun talking to you guys. So the more people over there, the better. I want to have these conversations. I want to help you get your health back. So click on the link. I'll see you in the no. I'm gonna put a video up here. Probably something about getting over cravings, since that's what the kind of the topic is of today. Once I have the ability to do it when the live stream is processed. And I'll talk to you guys again next Monday, 11:20. So that anybody who's new to watching this knows 11:20 every Monday, Eastern time, you can find my video live. Or my live stream live. It's not a video. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.